Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, you're very welcome. I'm Jane and my husband Mike does everything behind the camera. We're British early retirees, we've got no debt and we have paid off our mortgage, and we live a thrifty, frugal and money-saving life here in Brittany and northwest France. And every Wednesday we open our doors and invite you in for a mid-week money chat. Now, I asked you last week if you wanted my advice or my thoughts or my opinions on matters to do with frugal living and saving money. You asked me so many questions that I did part 1 on Sunday and part 2 is today. So I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions, which I don't do very often, about how I would save money in answer to some of your questions. The first question comes from Jessica, who asks, how do you cope with summer bills due to air conditioning? Okay, Jessica, I live in northwest France in the department of Finistère, department 29, and it is probably the one area of France that doesn't get hot summers every single year. But it doesn't mean to say we don't get hot summers some of the time, because we do. We're going to be moving to the south of France where they get hot summers all of the time. And this is the ways that we go about coping with the heat of the summer. And the first thing is pick your house very, very wisely. If you pick and you live in France, an old stone house, it is designed to stay cool. The walls are about 1 meter thick. So in the winter they stay warm and in the summer they stay cool. Secondly, we use the natural heating and cooling. So the nighttime is cooler. So if it's been 40 degrees in the day and the house has stayed around 25 degrees, and we'll just keep it at that, because at nighttime, when it does get slightly cooler, that's when we open all the windows and let the cool night air in. In the daytime, in the summer, we will keep the shutters shut in the peak heat of the day. And for those of us who will run air conditioning, we will do so after 10 o'clock at night when our electricity tariff is cheaper. So we might need to have it in a bedroom, and we would use it very, very sparingly to cool the bedroom down before we could get to sleep. The next part of that is cold showers, cool showers. Actually, tepid showers seem to work better than cold showers. So a tepid shower in the morning and a tepid shower at night. And the other one is how people dress. And that is loose clothing and wear linen. And that's a part of that as well. Do all the jobs that you've got to do in the cooler part of the year. Do your maintenance work in the cooler part of the year. Don't wait to do maintenance in July and August when it's extremely hot. And take time to do things slower in the hottest part of the year. Now, when it comes to getting things done around the house, that's when I get up a bit earlier in the summertime and I get all my housework done first thing in the morning. So I've usually got my housework done by about 7:30 in the morning, because that's when it's coolest. It's usually about 6, 7 in the morning when we take the dogs out for a walk, because obviously that's the coolest time. And that's how we cope with either no air conditioning or very little air conditioning. And I can assure you, where we are going in the south of France, lots of people, but I would say most people there, even though it's 30 plus degrees in the daytime, their houses will stay around 25 to 26 degrees in their house, because of the way the houses are designed. So wherever you are in the world and you've got any loft space, get insulation in there, because it will not only keep your bills lower in the winter and keep the warmth in, it will also keep the heat out. Chrissy says, as a single retiree, I find it hard to balance how much to stock up and shop and what to cook and to cook for one. Hi, Chrissy. I just put myself into the position of thinking, like, if I lived on my own, oh my gosh, my bills would be so low, because Mike eats eats a lot more than I do. I would probably eat a lot less than I do now. I'd probably cook a lot less than I do now. I mean, I'm British, so I mean, a complete meal for me would be beans on toast. So I might eat that a couple of days a week. Another thing I might have might just be an egg on toast a couple of nights a week. I might just make myself some soup or a sandwich. I'm really not a very fussy eater. So I probably wouldn't stock up at all. If I lived on my own, going out and doing the shopping would be part of my getting out. I wouldn't need to stock up. I wouldn't need to keep very much in the house. So I would look at what you want to eat and what you like to cook and actually ask yourself, as somebody living on your own, do you need to or want to stock up very much at all? You might stock up on things like toiletries when they are on sale. I do that. You might want to stock up on laundry soap, cleaning materials when they are on sale. At the beginning of the year, there was a really good period of time when cleaning products were on sale. So I bought what I needed for the year, or for about 6 months really. So you have to ask that question, how much do you really want to have in? And do you have to? As a single person, do you need to? Or do you want to? I'll leave that to you, Chrissy, but thanks for your question. Kelly, this is a really good question. Do you have any suggestions for frugal pet ownership? Yes, I do. Number one, the absolute main thing is keep your pet healthy. Clean their teeth. Keep them at the correct weight. Do not overfeed them. Exercise them as much as you possibly need to do so. Keep them clean, groom them, brush them, all of those things will keep them in the better health that you can keep your animal in, the less they will cost you at the vet. Take them for their immunisations every year and keep a record of how much those cost. And then we'll add on 25%, because it's better to overestimate than underestimate, and then break those costs down over the year. If you have them groomed and you know how much they're going to be groomed, like for example, mine, I have their haircut every 2 months. Every 2 months, that's €100. That's 6 grooms a year, 600 to save over the year. I can break that down into the savings each month. The next one is with the food. Measure out and weigh their food. Do not overfeed your animals. They only need a certain amount of food, and get that amount right. And as with the food for yourself, buy the best quality you can afford. Don't get sucked into anybody else telling you what is the best out there. Stick to your budget, the best you can afford. Dawn, thank you for your question, and it boiled down to this. Can two people have a relationship where one is a saver and one isn't? A casual relationship, maybe? Just friends? Of course you can do that with somebody who's just friends, but could you marry someone? Could you live with them long term? Could you have a life with them? No, not really. It's going to always be a problem, isn't it? If one person's a saver and one person's a spender. It's a massive difference. It would like saying one is a churchgoer and one is an atheist. You've got one saying to each other, come to church with me, and the other saying, I don't want to. It's that different. So in short, no. Helen, this is a really good question. How do you budget to take into account price rises? Okay, Helen, you know prices are going to rise. We know this all of the time. So whatever you need to have done, whether it is having your hair cut, your car serviced, your central heating serviced, your air conditioning serviced, you need to know in advance what you are going to pay for. So if you are going to book yours 1 year in advance, you can take into consideration. I always say add on 25%. Even if it doesn't rise by 25%, you've got 25% that you can add back into savings or add back into something else. So always budget for worst case scenario. Now, when it comes to anything else, so if you are like Mike and I, we've got pretty much a fixed budget. Income does not go up. Pensions do not go up. Those things do not go up, but price rises do. All you can do all of the time is cut back. That's all you can do. So my shopping budget is €50 a week. I just have to spend €50 a week. I just have to make do with €50 a week. I can't add any more to that. My electricity bill, I have to watch the meter. I have to watch the online app to make sure I am not going over that. So what can you do with price increases? You can save for it or you can cut back. I have to cut back on the amount of electricity I use, cut back on the water I use, cut back on the food I buy, cut back on how often I can buy clothes or how many clothes I can buy. That is what I do. What you can do is maybe earn more money if that is what you can do. Or if Mike and I, you can't earn any more money, or your income isn't going up no matter how many hours you put into your job, you just have to keep cutting back. This is a really interesting question, Susan. Susan's in the US and asks, with the possibility of rising tariffs and prices from the US, how do you, that's me, plan to adjust your food budget? And this is something really interesting for you, Susan. I would love to take you to all the different countries around Europe, from the UK to Ireland to France, Germany, Belgium, all the countries around that, and let you have a good old snoop around all of our supermarkets where we buy our food. You go to Belgium, you'll see Belgian food, Portugal, Portuguese food, Italy, Italian food. There is very little in any of those individual supermarkets from any other country. You might see it from the country next door. You might see something unique to another country. So you might see Italian cheese in a French supermarket and French cheese in an Italian supermarket, but you won't see much from outside of that country. So it's not as if people in those countries are going, we're not going to buy American cheese, we're not going to buy American meat. It's not really like that. It's because those countries eat their own food. So that's why you don't see much from any of the food. You don't see Australian meat in an Italian supermarket. You don't see British meat in an Italian supermarket. You don't see much French wine in an Italian supermarket. They're drinking their own wine. So there you go. So we're not really affected by American food prices or tariffs from America, because lots of those countries are pretty self-sufficient with their own food. And when lots of our food is pretty local. We were driving around the other day, we noticed all of the wheat harvest is already in. Most of the flour and the wheat products that we eat here in France comes from France, and that's just an example. I like this question, plums in a seed. How do you portion out time to frugal activities, for example, cooking, cleaning, or leisure? Okay, so I'm going to give you examples of when I worked and now I'm retired. Before I went to work, I would get that evening meal prepped in the morning. After work in the evening, I would get our lunches for the next day prepped. Housework was done before or after work. Mike and I would do it together. And now that I'm retired, we've got kind of split jobs. Mike does most of the outside work and I do most of the inside work. So we don't employ anybody here. Mike does all of the gardening himself. We have 2.5 acres. He does all of that outside. I help with some of the gardening, but he does most of it. In turn, I do most of the housework, and I like to get most of my work done in the morning. So I like to get any filming I've got done in the morning. I like to get any housework done in the morning. I like to get anything. So the dishwasher goes on overnight. The washing machine gets put on overnight because that's when we have cheap rate electricity. And then in the morning, I either hang the clothes over the fire or I hang them outside in the garden. So as I'm speaking to you, my lunch is already made, which gives us more leisure time in the afternoon. That's when I might meet up with friends for a coffee at their house, or they can come here, or we will go out and walk, or we'll sit in the garden, or we'll go off out somewhere. And that's how we divide up our time. Oh, Sue, you asked a really good question, Sue Hart. How about some hints on being frugal when you're absolutely sick of your own cooking? Okay, Susan, and I promise you, I get absolutely sick of cooking, and I get absolutely sick and tired of my own cooking. I promise you that. I have days where I just rant and rave around my own kitchen because I hate cooking. I really do. Now, if I was a rich woman, which I am not and I never have been, I would budget to go out and eat occasionally. But I really will not. So if Mike and I went out and ate lunch, and most places have a fixed 3-course lunch between 15 and 20 euros, there is no way I could even justify ever giving somebody 30 euros for 2 lunches when my shopping budget is 50 euros a week for all food, all drink, all toiletries, all cleaning products. There is just no way. I think even as a rich woman, I wouldn't want to do that. However, there are ways that I cope with the days when I am so sick and tired of my own cooking. Like I said to you earlier in the video, I'm just happy to make myself beans on toast, scrambled eggs on toast, or take something out of the freezer that I've cooked previously. And even though I am sick and tired of my own cooking, I'm usually hungry enough because I don't eat between meals. I like to wait until the next meal, and then I'm just hungry. And to be honest with you, I'd probably eat anything you put in front of me then, even if I am sick and tired of it. So I did want to share that with you so that I get frequently, weekly, sometimes daily, sick and tired of cooking. I get sick and tired of my own food, but I just kind of suck it up. So I'm just an adult. I've just got to eat. If I don't eat, I'll starve, and I'm greedy. I'm always hungry. So yeah, I just eat what I've got. I wish I had another answer, but I would suggest to you, if you get sick and tired of your own cooking, that there are loads of things that you could do. You could buy something prepared. Keep a shop-made pizza in the freezer, maybe, for the days that you really don't feel like it. Shop-made soup, for example, that you can buy. Keep it in the cupboard for the days that you don't want to eat your own food. Or if you've got wealth, you could have a budget to go out and eat on the amount of times that you could afford to. Maybe you could afford to go out once a week, or once a fortnight, or once a month. I'm sure there's ways, Sue, that you can cope with that, or just like me, you just got to put up with it, love. Okay, here's a last question. This one comes from Funny Face Money Penny. At the end of the month, do you go back into your budget and make corrections if a bill was higher, or you have a refund, or do you accept discrepancies? Hi, Funny Face. I'm an old lady and I've been budgeting for donkey's years. I'm pretty disciplined. Mike and I are pretty disciplined. So if our budget is 50 euros a week for food, we do not spend more than 50 euros a week at the supermarket. If our electricity bill is 120 a month for electricity, we check on our app each and every day that we are not going over our electricity budget. We have a 70 euros a month budget for fuel in the car. I never, or Mike never, if he goes and fills it up or if I fill it up, we absolutely never go over that. So it means that we are tracking our spending. Before we go into a shop, we are very conscious about what we are going to spend. When we go to the fuel pump, we are conscious about what we are going to spend. When we are watching our water bill, electricity bill, we are really conscious about tracking that. Not just tracking it after the event, but tracking it throughout the event, throughout the month. And that is how we stay on target and keep within our budget. We don't have any more money. We've got what to us is a low budget. Some people would argue that, we're rolling in money because, we've got what we've got. But we track it because we have to spend, because we can't spend the savings, because those are a bill for the things that we are going to need in the future. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's made the effort to send in more of your questions. We've really enjoyed going through them. And when we have your questions, Mike and I have a really good old chat, usually over our breakfast or over a meal of the day, and talk about how we're going to answer these questions, because Mike is very much part of the channel. Thank you very much to everybody who's hit the like button. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.